Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to be with us today and welcome to the In-House Council Forum program and our fifth webinar in this series. My name is Nidhi Kilawala and I am a partner in Khaitan's Corporate M&A practice group. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to this webinar to every one of you, whether you are in our audience in India or around the world. The In-House Council Forum program is designed to provide training and education in legal operations, business, management, and substantive law relevant to General Counsel and their in-house counsel teams, as well as provide a discussion forum on contemporary issues relevant to the in-house community in India today. Our subject today is managing in-house teams, and on this slide is the agenda for today's webinar. In summary, we will have an expert panel discussion followed by a Q&A session with audience questions. We have already received several audience questions, but if you do have more questions, please feel free to submit them using the facility provided in the webinar portal. If we cannot cover all questions today, we will be sure to respond offline by email after the webinar. Also, please note that a copy of the presentation, summary notes of the discussion, and a recording of this webinar will be sent to you after the webinar as a matter of course. As corporate India grows, so does the in-house counsel community, and as India's dynamic business environment evolves, as does the demands of in-house counsel. The expectations of in-house counsel today from CEOs, boards, and business stakeholders have expanded significantly. GCs are now expected to be strategic advisors, risk managers, and innovation champions, all of this while still managing cost, efficiency, and legal compliance. This webinar brings together senior members of the in-house community in India, along with seasoned leaders responsible for managing top talent. This webinar aims to explore the evolving challenges and opportunities that are facing leaders and members of in-house legal teams and what is redefining the corporate legal function in India. Our discussion will address how legal leaders can demonstrate value in uncertain and economic conditions, the skills and capabilities that in-house teams must build, and how technology and data are shaping the future of legal service delivery. We'll also explore the ongoing talent war, the impact of alternative legal service providers, and what law firms must do to generally better align with client expectations. Everyone who has registered for this webinar should have received by email already a summary of the panel members and their credentials to talk on today's topic. So I will not spend too much time introducing them, but suffice to say that they are all experts in this subject matter and qualified to express views on these issues. On our panel today, I am privileged to be joined by Naveen Raju, General Counsel and Executive Vice President, Mahindra & Mahindra, Dr. Vivek Mittal, Executive Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs at Hindustan Unilever Limited, Ritwik Lukos, co-founder of Vahura and Counselect, and Amar Singhji, Executive Director of Human Resources at Khaitan & Company. Thank you for being with us here today and for agreeing to share your valuable insights with our audience today. So now let's start with our discussion right away. My first question is to you, Dr. Vivek. What, according to you, are the top 3 qualities you look for when building your legal team? I think it's a given that when you're looking to build a legal team, technical legal skills are table stakes at this point. And so what beyond technical legal skills would you say are the top 3 qualities that you typically look for?
Thank you, Nidhi, and happy to join. Actually, happy to share experiences. For last about 10, more than 10, 12 years, I've been building teams across other organizations where I worked, and here also we have a large team. Doing interview is a continuous process for us actually, and if you see in our calendar, probably 3-4 interviews lined up every week, and that's the world we live in today because of the large team. So having said that, I can tell you that whenever we interview and I interview people, of course, there are 2 buckets where I see people. One is subject matter expertise. Other one is I say it overall personality. When we say subject matter expertise, of course, it comes with number of years of experience we are looking at any specific subject. We certainly grill people, around that. But at the same time, equal or maybe sometime more importance is given to overall personality. And when I say overall personality, it's very important to understand that in today's world, I would say certain things, not three actually, but maybe a bit more, which I see in the people. The first and foremost is, of course, commercial acumen, and second, but as equally important, is ownership mindset. Third is probably end-to-end thinking. Fourth is, of course, integrity for us. We do spend a lot of time in understanding the integrity part of people. And fifth, which I say is overall manners of the people. And just to give an example, uh, when I interview people, I start seeing people that how well mannered they are as soon as they come in the room. Do they knock? How they pull the chair? How they sit? How they react? How they talk? Everything in overall personality we need to take care. And it is very important to see all of it because you want to set them for success in your organization, and you also know your organization's culture, so you have to have the right judgment in relation to those people, that whether they'll be fitting in your culture or not. So as I say, I give equal importance to subject matter expertise and these personality traits, and there are more actually which we actually grill, but these were more important over others. Over to you.
No, thank you so much for that. And so interesting that that is the sort of opening statement of this webinar. More and more you're hearing with the evolving landscape and what legal counsels are expected to frankly bring to the table. We're no longer just lawyers. We're expected to be project managers, for example. And so naturally, the fact that this is finding its way into the recruitment process, I think, well, is a matter of time. And so good to hear that that's also things that make their way to your sort of filtration mechanism. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe I'll turn over to you, Naveen, in terms of what we just heard from Dr. Vivek and what he's looking for while sort of building out his team. How does that translate with, say, how you define and measure success eventually for the in-house legal department? Is it an extension of everything we just heard, or is there more to it when you're looking at, after the recruitment, what is the impact?
No, I think Vivek teed it off so well. All of those aspects which he mentioned go into success eventually, right? And like you said, Nidhi, if you are able to tick the boxes on all of the heads that Vivek outlined, you're pretty much doing well for yourself. But really, it's stakeholder satisfaction at the end of the day, right? And if you tick those boxes, stakeholder satisfaction is what it's going to result in, and that's what we look out for. That the teams that you are assigned to are happy with the output that you are providing. Now, there is a little bit of a tricky thing in that, because you can satisfy business by being the yes man, and that's the balance that a in-house counsel has to strike, because it's not just being the yes man, but being able to protect the interests of a larger set of stakeholders, which is beyond just the business that you are supporting. And that's where your ability to identify risks, point them out in a manner which is acceptable to the business, and for business to see you not as an obstructionist, but as a person who is adding value by identifying the risks, providing solutions to the risks that are being identified, and implementing the right level of controls within the business is what is key. So all of this being done in an amicable manner, where all the stakeholders feel happy about the contribution that the in-house counsel brings, is what is key, and that all goes into stakeholder satisfaction. So I think that's what's key in gauging how somebody has performed in an in-house team.
Yeah, no, I
Back to you.
think, yeah, I think very, very aptly put. The proof of the pudding does lie in the eating, and I think that's, I guess, in the context of the jobs we all play and the functions you sit on top of that, that would necessarily have to result in stakeholder management. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that with us, Naveen. Maybe I'll bring Vivek back into the conversation, given these two sort of questions are so interlinked. Given especially the kind of organizations that you are part of, and you could have multiple geographies, your team members could be sitting in different parts of the world. Um, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in managing, say, legal teams across multiple geographies and even across different business units? Maybe we can hear from you first, Dr. Vivek, and then Naveen can supplement.
Sure. So, I always find global businesses very, very interesting because each country will have a different law, different culture, different ways of doing things. The way I say it is that each country is a different ship, but it's very, very challenging to take them into same strategic direction. And that's where we come in. The few challenges could be, how do you ensure consistent standards? So just to give an example, your policies, how do you implement those standard policies across the globe while ensuring that you also take care of regional nuances, these regional law issues, etc., etc. It's also their different business priorities. Uh, there are many businesses many countries which will have a different business priorities. Just to give an example, one country would want to launch a specific product while other country would not want to. How do you manage this globally? Also, different cultures, as I say. So it's a very different aspect of managing global teams. So the way I've been able to manage uh, global teams is that have general standards across the globe. I would call them principles. So have them those principles in place while you tell each country that without compromising those principles, why don't you come out with your own policies or procedures which are aligned with that country. So that's the way you can manage, but it's not very easy task. And I can tell you in my experience, I don't think any company would be able to say that, oh, we have got it fully right. We are all still evolving in this because laws are also changing. Just to give an example again, data privacy laws, they have evolved in last probably 10 years, and we are still trying to understand whether we comply to GDPR kind of standard, whether we comply with some other standard. And there are many countries where those laws don't exist as of today. And when you have your own data privacy policy, if you go to a country and say, why don't you comply with this policy, they will say, oh, we don't have data privacy laws, why do we need to comply? So I think those kind of challenges do keep coming. So yeah, I think it's difficult but very, very interesting, sort of field. Over to you, Nitin.
No, thanks. Thank you for that. Very interesting. Anything you would like to add to that, Naveen?
Yeah, no, pretty much that resonates what Vivek just said. Um, from my experience, where we've had the greatest challenges, like we compliance rests with the legal function, at least in my organization, and uh, providing that assurance of compliance in the various jurisdictions that we operate in is something that troubles me because uh, firstly, you don't understand. Many times the language spoken is different, the laws are different. So getting the sense that a system that we have implemented in India operates well enough there is something that can be a challenge. And we've also had problems in just uh, the concept of a compliance tool or a system is also alien in some of these jurisdictions. So that is an area which causes concern in terms of international jurisdictions. Over to you, Nitin.
No, I think completely agree with everything that both of you just said. In fact, even I remember being part of a project where there were different business units involved, and naturally they had distinct priorities, risk tolerances. And even just their operational styles were so different. So even as external counsel to, and just viewing that process play itself out, I think the one key thing that stood out to me was that the in-house team there had to balance all of this while maintaining consistency. So I think it goes back a little bit to Naveen, the point you were making previously, that nobody wants you to be the yes man, but even businesses are of course looking for you to at that point be nimble, to be able to allocate risk in the right fashion. And I think it became so clear to me through that entire process that alignment across the diverse business goals was the key thing everyone was solving for. So there was one unit who was trying to prioritize speed to market, another who was trying to focus on compliance or cost efficiency. So there was a whole bunch of push and pull. But yes, very interesting. I'm sure you do you do that for a living on the daily, so must be a very exciting daily sort of your day must be super exciting. But no, thank you for sharing that. Maybe my next question will maybe Amar, I can bring you into the conversation on even within legal teams. And Amar, you've done this for generations across multiple organizations and very large ones at that. So within legal teams, what generational differences do you observe in expectations, communication, and performance styles, and how have you seen that play a role in just managing teams of this size and scale?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen it through, and irrespective of the industry. So I mean, I've worked through hospitality and financial services, and now the law. I think the differences have become very stark, and I wouldn't say they are right or wrong. I think it's just the way the generations are. And let me just break it down. So even if you go back 15, 20 years, you joined a company or joined a firm, and you did whatever was put on your plate. You came to office and you just worked. And that has changed completely. So today, even a kid graduating from a law campus knows precisely which practice they want to do and then which sub practice they want to do, and there is no scope for negotiation there. Nidhi, and you probably are aware of this, we not only what they want to do, but whom they want to work with. So we have situations where, an associate, senior associates called for an interview, and they would call up HR and say that who's going to interview me and for which team. And if it's A, I don't want to come for that interview, and I don't want to join the team, and I will only come if B is interviewing me for B team. Right? I mean, it was unthinkable. I can't even think of doing that today, right? So I think the younger generation has become much more sharper and clearer about what they want. And they're wanting to do it right away. And they also have that confidence, which has changed a lot. Of course, jobs have also become sharper. I mean, even if you take our law firm, the older partners, let's say, who are in their late 50s, 60s, still do whatever comes. They are whatever's on the plate, whatever client comes. But below that, everything's got highly verticalized. And even if you get a matter which is not from your practice or your area of specialization, you would tend to pass it on to somebody. Vivek, you want to say something? You got your hand up?
No, I just wanted to add after you, Amar, because it's a very interesting
Yeah,
topic.
okay, sure. So that's one thing that has changed, the confidence that the younger generation has in terms of what they want to do, with whom they want to do it, etc. If you come to the second part, around communication, work styles, so they're also very clear about how they want to do it, right? So they own their time. They feel that they are the masters of their time. And as long as they are delivering, normal structure shouldn't matter. So, my son is 26 years old and he works in the next building with a very cutting edge company which is based out of the UK. So we both have office at 9:30. I tend to come in at 8:30, 8:45. He wants to reach the building at 9:25 so that he takes the elevator and goes up at 9:26. And it takes 2 minutes to settle down, so it's 9:27 or 28, and he's wasted only 2 minutes of his time doing company work. And he can't for the life of him figure out why I want to reach here at 8:45 when my office starts at 9, right? So if you follow the old traditional model that you will come at 9 and you leave at 5, and you're going to have a 5-day work week, that doesn't sit well. And that means that not only do firms and companies need to evolve new structures, systems to cope with this, but the the older generation companies also must learn to accept that. That as long as somebody is delivering, a physical presence or a certain fixed time is not really, very, very relevant in that. Uh, so everything that they do is, to us, may seem very unstructured, but they are delivering at the end of the day, and that comes to style of communication, how you interact with them, which has also changed. I remember in the Nidhi, some of these people are now partners in our firm, but when I joined, somebody would walk into my room and say that, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I want this and I want that." I mean, in the Tatas, it was unheard of. I mean, you'd think twice before you would, kind of walked into somebody's room. Maybe Naveen's probably in Mahindra, is a bit of the old world, like the Tatas still there. So there is a lot of confidence. You cut across barriers. Communication modes have changed, right? I mean, if you go back a few years, you had to walk up to somebody. You can text somebody, you can WhatsApp somebody, you can email somebody, you can send them on Teams, and that's broken down a lot of barriers. And I think it's very important for all of us that if we were to engage the newer generations, if we were to make them productive, and more importantly, if we wanted to win their loyalty, it is very, very important that we change. Companies change, firms change, the way we operate changes. Yes, you can have an underlying value system or a base where certain things are non-negotiable, right? So if it means the way you behave with clients, or if you have a value system, or if you expect a certain dress etiquette at work, you can say that, here's few things that are non-negotiable. About this, yes, we will all adjust and adapt. And if you don't do that, you are definitely not going to get the best and brightest to stay with you. They may join you, but they won't stay with you very, very long. Really, so I mean, Nidhi, that's really the change that I have seen, and I think that change is only going to accelerate. If you take, whatever has happened post pandemic, work from home, work from anywhere, people taking on multiple assignments, and doing things simultaneously. I think we haven't yet seen the maximum of what's going to come, and it will probably be here with us over the next few years with artificial intelligence and everything else that's coming along with it.
Yeah. Sorry, Dr. Vivek, you wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, so interesting actually because I've been part of few discussions here in my company and also otherwise that how these Gen Zs specifically are changing the way of working. And I'm using the word specifically Gen Zs because uh, in my experience, I came across few circumstances where they said, "Oh, I want to work only 9 to 5 because after 5 I'm an influencer and I have a large influencer followership. I want to do that." Or maybe I want to work 4 days because rest of the days I'm a food follower and I go to places where I find food and post them as a video. So I'm just trying to say that it's very interesting the way it's evolving. People nowadays are, and especially Gen Zs, they are looking for different kind of work cultures. We grew up in a different kind of work culture altogether, right? Office, yeah, as Amar said, coming to office on time and then staying late. I think all those things are changing because of technology, because the way we are moving. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
No, thank you. That is so interesting. And I think it'll be good to hear as this evolves. And I'm seeing some audience questions also come in on how institutions are, changing their strategies, if at all, or even the manner in which they reward and recognize impact to suit the new age workforce. Maybe we'll pick that up towards the end of our conversation. But I think this is definitely a conversation that everyone seems very interested in. Thank you so much for that and sharing your thoughts. I guess just one quick additional question I would sort of layer onto that is, especially in the context of what we just discussed, right? Dr. Vivek, how do you ensure then that legal teams are staying aligned with broader strategies, especially given all of these differences that are already sort of coming to the fore? And then how do you kind of ensure that, they're aligned on strategy, and especially during periods of, some kind of big changes or crisis?
So, me and Naveen, we had probably seen that era where legal used to be reactive rather than proactive. At least I can speak for myself that we were in that era where we started where things will come to us when strategy is already decided, deal is already cracked, broader terms have already agreed, and then somebody coming to us and, hey, this is what we have agreed. Why don't you draft it? Draft an agreement or draft a term sheet and come back to us. I think from there we have moved a lot nowadays, and I think expectation of even business is that business legal team should partner business team. And when they say partner, that would mean that in every decision making, uh, legal team should participate in all the discussions, whatever they are doing, even in terms of strategies, even in terms of how business is gonna shape up next. For that, you know, business is also nowadays very open to invite legal teams in those discussions. So let's say if there are business reviews, then yes, they are very open to invite business team to participate in those business reviews, so that legal team also gets exposed to what's the business strategy, how business has done, what additionally you can do in relation to business. So that is certainly happening. But at the same time, what business certainly appreciates is that if legal team reaching out to them and develop some kind of rapport or establish one-on-one connects and try and understand what business is gonna do next. uh, I think when you say that how business strategies are percolated down to all the teams, I think it depends upon each corporate. But at least in my experience, whenever strategy is defined at company level, it is actually percolated down by way of either town halls or through specific meetings. But what I'm seeing more and more, that they want everybody to participate, including legal. And more than defining strategies, legal is getting involved in how strategy should be built. And that's also becoming very, very important nowadays, that, oh, we want to go into new business area. Before deciding whether you want to go to a new business area, they will involve legal and say that, okay, is this a right business area? Whether we are capable of doing that? Are law supporting us or not? If laws are not supporting, what can you do to advocate with government, etc., etc. So those things are happening a lot. So I think the answer is proactive engagement with business. Answer is having to be with them in all the important meeting. I think that's what is happening these days. Uh, in relation to being reactive, it's becoming more and more proactive.
No, completely agree.
Over
I
to you.
think we're also seeing a lot of, like why, like even legal teams asking on why something is being done. So, and we're no longer just giving words to say strategy or business's thoughts, right? And I don't think strategy or business teams are only expecting you to do that anymore. I think they do want legal teams also to understand how strategic priorities are working and why something needs to happen, so that a legal plan can be sort of tailor made around that. So completely agree with you, and we see that as external counsels as well. So thank you for sharing that. Maybe I'll turn to you, Ritvik, on just especially given your experience on placing some of the general counsels and senior legal managers. Like, what, according to you, must general counsel and senior legal managers actively do or not do, I guess, to bring out the best in their teams and to minimize attrition?
Yeah, I'll focus on the do's, and the starting point is actually what Vivek said. So I break it down to three things. The first is the alignment question, which is uh, if you can link the mission of the legal function, not just at the general counsel is part of conversations, etc. So that's already happening, like Vivek mentioned. But for the team, if you can link the mission of the legal function to the company's mission. One very good example that we've seen with a client we're working with currently is they have a cadence of a monthly business review cycle where the company's OKRs are put up. And as a legal team, they talk about how they have moved the needle on those OKRs, right? And those OKRs can be, the competing priorities, Nidhi, like you mentioned, right? It can be speed, it can be efficiency. So that kind of links that mission at every level, not just at the top. So even someone who's just joined the team is now thinking, hey, how does my role link to the company's mission and the company's objectives? The second is, especially in India, if you want to get the best out of someone, give them responsibility, right? Like people thrive. Like if you hire good people, give them responsibility, right? And give them responsibility with supporting mechanism, but let them know that you have their back. So, where we see the teams do the best is when they feel like mini GCs themselves, right? So they feel that level of being able to take ownership of their work. The third is, it's the job of the general counsel to draw the red lines, to draw the Lakshman Rekha, right? The Lakshman Rekha was drawn not to keep Sita in, but to keep Ravan out, right? And here the Ravan in the corporate setting is, ethical red lines, unethical practices. The Ravan is, I think, like Naveen mentioned, unreasonable expectations, right? Like when business is just really coming hard at you and wants unreasonable things, there the job of the general counsel is to protect the team by drawing those lines. So if you do these three things, you will, it's a good start.
Very interesting. I especially loved the Lakshman Rekha reference. Thanks for that, Ritvik. I mean, I think you'd like to add, especially from, say, your lens over the course of your journey and now today as part of, say, heading up the function for a big law firm.
Yeah, so the first thing, Nidhi, is that you have to have quality work. If you get bright minds, you have to have the best possible work to give them. And that's the onus on the firm and the senior partners or the leaders of the firm to make sure that you guess. Because talent will migrate to where they have the most challenging work. And that goes on for quite, I would say, all through the career. The other thing is that, again, I think Vivek touched upon it, is everybody likes to be involved. So if you're dealing with a client, even the junior most associate needs to know from the beginning that what's happening, why are we taking on a mandate, what's all. I mean, let me give you an example from HR. If I started my career, somebody, director HR or some board would draft some policy, one level below that would clean it up and that policy went down. I draft policy bottom upwards now. So whether it's a work policy or a work timings or anything, we call the junior most guys, we deal with the people and we say, how would you like this policy? And then it comes up and then you kind of put finishing. Nothing goes, top down. Uh, the other is that you don't work in isolation, and feedback appraisals don't happen once a year. I think the newer generation, the brighter generation, wants everything on the run. And some of the things that we have also implemented on in our firm, like feedback on the go, matter quality feedback. This is coming because that's what people at the bottom want. So they've drafted something, they want feedback immediately. Is it a great draft? Is it not so great? Does something need to be done? We think that feedback may be good or bad, but that's what they want, and they want it right away. Of course, there are ways of giving feedback, and the manner in which it would happen. Same for appreciation. The thing that you would wait till the end of the year and somebody get a good rating and a great bonus doesn't hold true. You do feedback maybe every day or every week, and even that feedback is both formal and informal. So you have to put in place systems that capture it formally as frequently as possible, and you have to build a culture that gives it infrequently, right? So you walk across to somebody's table, pat them on the shoulder, say you've done a good job, send across a mail to a couple of senior guys saying, I've got a mail from a client here, I'm forwarding it, these three kids did a great job, right? And some senior person responds to them and it means a lot. So everything's become instantaneous. Nobody has the time or the patience to wait for something to happen in that sense. There is also a lot, and I think both Vivek and Ritvik also touched upon it in some manner, is that everything needs to also be transparent and fair. So even if the feedback's not great or if it is great, I don't think the talent of today shies away from anything. Nobody's only seeking positive feedback or is saying that we don't want. As long as you know how to do that and know how to give it. But most importantly, like I said, quality of work matters. Now, if you were to step away from this little framework and say that what would keep that talent with me, and what would keep that talent engaged, let's say even for 5 to 8 years, thinking for careers beyond 10 years and all. I don't think anybody imagines that now. Then come what in Maslow's need hierarchy would be the base of the pyramid. You need to have great work infrastructure, you pay well, you reward well, you have policies that are as good as anywhere in the world, and it could be a simple thing like office timings or work from home, or you provide great tools of the trade to work with. So Nidhi and I were bantering about quality of laptops before we started, right? So it's very important that everything is state of the art. But this has become the base of Maslow's need hierarchy. There's no negotiation here, right? You have to have great offices, you have to have great infrastructure. Our offices in Bombay are undergoing some renovation, so we've temporarily have discontinued our cafeteria. And my son's office is a very mom and pop kind of office. There are a few people there, and he looks at me and says, like, you guys don't have a cafeteria? Like you're like this big law firm, and so it's not acceptable. So the most basic things, and if companies don't get that bit right, and very crudely, what we call the cost of doing business has gone up tremendously, and nobody will take. In fact, the reverse has happened. The more senior you go, you're willing to let go of a lot of things, take some hardships, and say it's all right. I will manage with a little bit or less in this. But you come down with this thing, it doesn't work there. So Nidhi, I think it's a combination of all this, but at the very top of it, quality work, transparency, feedback, open communication, and rewards and recognition. So rewards and recognition have also undergone such a massive change, right? I mean, if you go back even a few years and you looked at stock options and you said you would get very rich if you got stock options when you're 25 years old, and you kick them in when you're 55 years old. No, that doesn't work. The 25-year-old wants the reward when they're 25 or 26, not when they're 56. So we have to kind of get those things in place, and I think it's all for the good also, because even the clients benefit, the quality of work goes up, and any feedback or any communication that is instantaneous, transparent, and fair always results in a better process or a better product.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I hear you. I hear you, and I think that's all absolutely true. But I think these are all principles that we all definitely agree on, right? I don't think there will be a divergent point of view here. But the fact still is, and maybe this is a good sort of segue to bring Naveen into the conversation, because I'm sure he's at the receiving end of several, say, job applications from folks that are trying to move out of private practice and move into in-house roles. So, Naveen, why do you think we're seeing so much more of that? And what do you hear most often on why this shift is happening?
So I'm a career general counsel, meaning I spent my entire life in-house counsel, as Vivek was describing before we started this call. I didn't spend any time in private practice, so I can't speak from experience. But I believe there is a lot more of interest in private practice lawyers moving in-house because the role has evolved significantly over the last decade or so. When we entered the profession, it was a very different role. There were some companies which were different from the others, but mostly the role of a legal department within an organization was, second fiddle. It was more like a post box um, and and that was reflected also in the way in which the organization saw it. The leadership of a legal department would report into another function, which could be the CFO's office, it could be the secretarial department, it could be HR, or even like corporate services. And now we've seen that change over time, and we've been seeing legal department get its place within the corporate hierarchy, so much so that you see that it is not just the reflection of the position of the general counsel, but it's of the empowerment that the legal department has across the ranks. As in how they are being consulted and how their views are taken into account. It's not just that some business leader would can just choose to ignore inputs that are received from a legal team member. So I think that evolution of the legal department has a lot to contribute to our brethren in private practice seeing in-house as a good place to go to. Uh, Many times it's driven by a lot of other circumstances within their own uh, professional setup, but now a lot of people in private practice would see in-house as a good alternate, provided they find the right place to go to. So I would attribute that the change to that reason, Nidhi.
That sounds absolutely right. Thanks for that, Naveen. Sorry, Amar, you wanted to add something to that? You have your hand raised.
Yeah. I just wanted to. So, sitting on this side of the table, Naveen and Nidhi, we do sometimes lose great talent, wanting to go in-house. And very clearly, there are two or three buckets while that happens. One is that I mean, compared to in-house, I think it is that you have a tougher life in a law firm, maybe in terms of working hours, in terms of what comes to you. You're completely driven by clients, and a lot of people are at a certain stage in their lives when they feel that maybe a more structured, maybe a more organized. It may not necessarily be easier. I guess you work equally hard either way, but it definitely could be more structured, and you're not driven that much only by clients. So one is really on the personal side, Nidhi, where people are saying that, okay, I'm at this stage in life where I would prefer that, I have a more structured life and take it. Earlier, so compensation and all, really the difference is very little now. I think the perks compensation that one is provided. The other thing that I hear, and when I speak with some people who are, moving out and wanting to go into in-house roles, is that they feel that in a law firm, all the work you do is transaction related. You get a mandate, you get a client, you complete it, you move on to the next client, the next mandate. So your life or your career is really transactional. You just do maybe better work, more deeper work, you develop expertise. But they say that if I'm part of a large conglomerate, let's say whether you're with the Mahindras or with Unilever or with the Tatas, I'm part of an ecosystem which around me I'm contributing to is changing. I'm growing with it. Everything is there. I'm part, like again, Naveen, I think mentioned, I'm part of a team or leadership that's leading an organization, leading people, leading this thing, and I see that evolving along with me. There is no cutoff. It's not like one matter has come and it's gone, and then you're really not concerned about what's happening there. You've just completed the matter and moved on. So in a way, they probably find more meaning in what they are doing. A lot of the larger groups and companies also do many other things. They're taking part in CSR. They're contributing to the communities that they live and work in. And at some stage, if somebody is saying that, I want a little more meaning about what I'm contributing than just executing or transacting or doing BD, then I would prefer to go to a in-house role. Uh, the reverse doesn't happen much. I see very few people wanting to leave an in-house role and come into a law firm. And I guess that's also partly to the fact that it can get difficult after a while. Now, if you spent a substantial amount of time in an in-house or a corporate, coming into a law firm environment where you'll have responsibility for many things gets a bit tough. But I thought I'd just share that because I think almost every month I have a conversation with somebody who's thinking of this or in the process of moving, and I try to understand why that is happening.
Mm,
So over to you, Nick.
that's yeah, thanks. That's interesting because in fact I was just going to bring Ritvik into the conversation and ask him the converse of what we just heard from Naveen and you, in fact. That are you seeing in-house counsels say leaving in-house roles today? And I guess if yes, then what do you think are the key push factors, Ritvik?
So I'll zoom out first. There's a natural gravity to attrition and reasons for it. So in the in-house world, the top of the pyramid is a general counsel, right? So to be a general counsel, you need varied experience, right? You need to be able to work in different sectors, different kinds of organizational setups. So it's important in the career growth for in-house counsel to actually leave at the right time and take on new roles. And there's only one general counsel in a company, unlike you have multiple partners in a firm, right? So there is a glass ceiling. It's important to get experience, and so that's the overall framework. Attrition is not bad by itself; it's necessary at certain points. But that being said, if you look at different levels, at a junior level, people leave because there's bad growth, and you fix that really by either benchmarking remuneration correctly or giving people a growth path. Sometimes it's about the speed of growth as well. At a mid-level, people are leaving because of bad managers. It's connected to who their manager is. It could be even issues with business partners as well in terms of that relationships. And at a very senior level, and we get these calls all the time. At the GC level, head legal level, people are leaving because of bad environments. Basically, the governance culture is not something they want to be a part of, and they want to exit.
Got it. No, thanks for that. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock, and we've got some audience questions in as well. So I'm going to just do one last question before I go into our audience Q&A, and maybe I'll bring. Maybe it'll be great to hear from you, Dr. Vivek, on this. On, what are some of the emerging trends that you're seeing in legal resourcing, as even in-house teams are, keeping up with the evolving needs of, say, business, and just the manner in which we're looking to service some of these needs, right? Are you seeing contract counsels, secondees, part-time GCs? I mean, A, what are those trends that you're seeing? And then B, are you really seeing Indian companies adopt some of these?
So it's interesting the way, and you're particularly talking about team management and resourcing. Actually, if you see broadly,
Yeah.
and I think one thing you didn't add in that thing is law firm, right? In our scheme of things, if you see from GC point of view, we have few layers of resourcing. One is direct people, direct resourcing. There we hire within our company, right? So direct hires, easy, normal, traditional route, which we do these days. Other trend which is emerging, and Ritvik is also part of that emergence actually. A secondary hire. Ritvik has a firm called Counselate actually, and I'm not advertising for you, Ritvik, but we are using your services, and that's why I'm saying it. It's a very good model where we need some elasticity for some time, and we go to Ritvik and say, hey, Ritvik, can you give me a resource for 6 months or 1 year? Where Ritvik comes back and says, yes, I can give you, Vivek, don't worry. So, and that trend is not about India. That trend is actually globally, and in fact, it actually came into US first, and then it's now going to all other countries. Third trend, which is very much emerging, is GCCs. At Unilever, we also have GCC in Bangalore, where we are trying to identify that which kind of day-to-day work we can actually transfer to GCC, and we have done a lot in that sense. So that's also it's not a new trend, by the way, but you are seeing more and more companies developing GCCs in India. And today only I was reading in newspaper that Costco is also coming out with GCC at Bangalore. Fourth is law firms. We reach out to you guys and we say, hey, this is a short-term assignment. Can you do it? It's not only purely transactional work. We are also reaching out to law firm nowadays for extending us secondees for some time, for bringing people in from law firm to in-house so that we can train those people and go back to them, go back to the same person to give us services. So this entire trend of only hiring in-house is changing a lot. As I said, 4 layer of resources in-house, going to Ritvik for consulate kind of engagement, then your GCCs, and then the law firms. Fifth category, which we do use sometimes, is contractors. We go to individual people and say, come to us and run this project for us. That project could be any. So that's a fifth category. But yeah, as I'm saying that resourcing field is emerging a lot, actually. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good to hear that. Anything, Ritvik, from your lens, especially given what you do at Councilect as well? Would you broadly agree with that? Anything you'd like to add?
No, fully agree. I think what we've seen change is the requirements have moved one from individuals to teams. So many of our clients now have more than five secondees as part of their overall legal function. Second is the use case. Earlier used to be more reactive, which is still 70% is very much so maternity leave cover, long leave cover, etc. Now it's moved also strategic in terms of certain projects. So, for example, if there's a contract remediation project, you know that you need to remediate like, 10,000 contracts across the world, but if you do it in a set period of time, then a secondary plus legal tech solution is something that we're seeing as a use case. Or, for example, we had a client in the mobility space, but they need to bring in someone with payments experience. They were still going to law firms, but they brought in a payment specialist for 9 months to work with external counsel to put, to get the both the licenses but the internal kind of processes in place. So the use cases are changing. And interestingly, on the talent side, I think everything that Amar mentioned in terms of the generational differences, the interest and openness to work on secondments, project-based roles, people are much more like are excited. The risk appetite is there. They're like, hey, in my career, let me try at least try this for 2 years. Um, yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that insightful and interesting discussion. I do hope our audience has enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm now going to take some questions that we've gotten through from our audience. There are quite a few, and I don't think we'll be able to take all of them, but we will, like I mentioned, respond offline after for those that were not able to take up. The first one, and maybe I can put this to you, Naveen. In your experience, what separates a good in-house lawyer from a great one, especially in a complex legal environment?
Uh, I think, the real differentiator, and within the in-house world, the progression happens to a general counsel or a chief legal officer, and really the skills that one is looking for at the highest levels is the ability to maintain your core skill, which is your legal qualification and your expertise in that area, but look at issues uh, from different lenses. So when you are part of the CEO's team, as in you're part of a core team, I think you are no longer being seen as someone who is bringing in a legal specialization. You are, when we sit to discuss an issue, everybody contributes across the board. Of course, the legal leader brings the lens of the legal skills that that person has, but otherwise, it is a view across on all aspects and how a decision could impact business, whether in terms of the culture of the company, of the financial aspects, the reputational aspects. You have to be able to lose that being a lawyer tag and being a lot more than just a lawyer, and then that skill set is going to make the difference from good to great. You can be good, excelling in the legal skill sets for which you're recruited, but if you need to move on, you need to be able to do a lot more than just the a legal aspect of the job.
Yeah, completely agree. Thanks for that. The next one, and maybe Amar and Dr. Vivek, it would be good to get your thoughts on this, is how do you identify and reward silent contributors?
Should I take
Uh,
a shot, Vivek? Go
yeah,
ahead.
please go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. So what we do, Nidhi, is that uh, the challenge with the silent contributors and all is to know first of all that they're there and that they've contributed something. So it's very, very important to have systems or processes in place which capture this. And I think as firms grow, companies grow, and performance and other measurement systems become more sophisticated and complex, there are ways to capture this. And you set aside uh, maybe points or certain reward criteria to say that out of a normal framework, here is somebody who's doing something silently or who's not recognized, and we are going to reward them. What happens is that when these rewards become public or when they are noticed, then you capture more and more of such silent contributions that come in. But initially, to start off, it can be a bit challenging, especially when you are at scale. Yeah, Vivek, over to you.
So quickly on this, and I know we have 4 minutes now. So quickly on this, I think it also a function of your performance appraisal management system. How do you capture this extraordinary which which somebody is doing? You may call them silent contributors, but if you want to capture, it's also a responsibility of leader to notice that actually, and that again comes back to the performance management system. That how a leader is also noticing that somebody is contributing silently. And with that, of course, it's also leaders' responsibility many times to reach out to management that yes, this person has contributed this much to the organization. Why not do something about it? Throughout my life, what I've always tried to do is that I've also always tried to bring parity between people in my function, and then reward extraordinary sometimes. So that's what I've done. But it's very important for the performance management system and for the leader both. Amar, over to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Thanks.
just to add, and Nidhi, this is something you'd be very familiar with. For example, I'll take a specific example from law firms is business development, right? There are people who do great business development whom we call rainmakers and who are really getting a lot of business to the firm. But there are so many people who are doing little bit of business development every day on their own. The system never captures. And a few years back, now we have a kind of system and process in place. But let's say we have an MS Teams group where we say that all you need to do is just go and post that I met Vivek Mittal from Unilever yesterday, or I'm going to meet him tomorrow. It doesn't matter whether you got work from Unilever or didn't get work from Unilever. Now it took a while, a couple of years down the line, it's become cultural. So everybody is posting. Now what we have done is automated the system, right? So there is something at the back end that's capturing all this. So even if there is somebody who's very silently doing, BD and getting a lot of work, now there is a channel for that to be captured. And I think technology and systems, and rightly, like Vivek also said, play a huge role, Nidhi, in making sure that silent contributors are recognized, acknowledged, and then rewarded.
No, that's very helpful. Thank you for that. And maybe the last question to you, Ritvik, and maybe two quick sub questions on: do you think hybrid working has changed how companies are structuring and staffing their legal departments? And what would you say are the top two tips for training and developing trainee level lawyers who join in-house teams?
Yeah, so I'd say COVID and hybrid working post that has been a game changer for adoption of legal tech. It's been a complete game changer. Most organizations today would already have their information digitized, and once you have information digitized, then being able to move on to systems becomes much easier. And we're still in the middle of that. So I think most teams will have like a CLM, contract lifecycle management in place, compliance management in place. But now with AI coming in as well, a lot of work on that front. Um, the just on the and with that, because once you have systems in place, then being able to have more distributed teams becomes much easier. Uh,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Any top two tips that you look for in training up junior lawyers who are looking to join in-house teams?
The first is, I think the training on the business context is so important. I know HUL does it really well. M&M, ICICI Bank, just helping them understand the business, the industry context as well. And the second is training them on skill sets they haven't learned in law school. So project management is one, and just systems thinking. Thinking from day one in terms of how do we use technology systems, create processes, create systems is the other.
Yeah, no, super. I think one constant theme that has emerged through the course of all of our discussions today is there is a lot of convergence between law and strategy and business. And the more we're able to achieve that, and the cusp of that is probably where some of the magic and legal leadership lies. So, at least to me, that is one key takeaway that I would like to leave with our audience here today, that we're increasingly moving away from being siloed into just legal advisors, and we're doing a lot more integrated work with strategy, business, and all of these other business verticals. But thank you so much for being with us here today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope our audience also thought it was a worthwhile use of their time. Before closing, I would like to request our audience to please respond to the poll slide on your screen to provide your feedback on today's webinar. If I could please request the poll slide to be put up. Thank you. We do take this very seriously as part of our continuous improvement program. So would request you to please participate in this and share your candid feedback. Thank you to everyone who has participated in the poll. Finally, I would like to thank all our panel members for sharing their expertise and experience with us today. You were simply outstanding. Thank you so much. Also, thanks to you, our audience, for your attention and your questions. I hope you found the webinar interesting and a worthwhile investment of your time. We certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. After the webinar, we will send to you a copy of today's materials, summary notes, and a link to the webinar recording. You will also separately receive a request for your feedback on the webinar. Please do take the time to send us your feedback. Comments, criticisms, and even compliments are welcome. The form takes less than a minute to complete, so we'd request you to please spare some time for that. If you are interested in in-house training or any other matters arising from this webinar, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our contact information is on the contact slide here. Thank you for your attendance today, and we look forward to being with you again at the In-House Council Forum. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.